All right, let's see if this works. And we're live. But there we are. I can see it now. It's a stream key issue. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Thursday night. December 14th, 15th. What is today? The 15th. Oof. What a bummer of a game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Santa Clara Francisco 49ers. Got to go to the game in person, which is always a great experience, regardless of the outcome of the game. Getting to be there with the 12s and just the passion, energy, just all of it. Just the atmosphere is it's amazing. If you've ever been to a game, Seahawks game, you know what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, we knew tonight was going to be an uphill battle. We knew it was going to be very difficult to come away with a victory, with a W. But there's always hope. There's always a chance. I think the Seahawks have always given us, not always, but at least in the recent years, really since the Russell Wilson era of 2012 and on, there's always been a sense that like we could sneak it out, we could squeak it out. And that's what I meant to say. We could squeak it out somehow, some way, even though the odds are not in our favor. And they were extremely not in our favor tonight. The San Francisco 49ers defense is playing absolute lights out. They're also just like in an absolute terror of momentum right now. And all the things just seem to be coming together. Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, is pretty awesome. He's playing great football. And it seems like the Niners are all in. It seems like the locker room really is just rallying around this guy, and you can feel it. I mean, I felt it as a fan of the opposite team in a enemy territory stadium tonight. I could just see it in the sidelines. I could see it in the 49er fans that were present, which there were a freaking lot of them. I can't believe how many 49ers fans came out, and just hats off to the 49er fans. I mean, the 49ers Seahawks rivalry is still pretty hot, still pretty I'd say competitive, although the Seahawks have really not brought our game to the table from recent years. It's still, no matter when we play, there's still just this absolute just extra notch that goes up when it comes to competition, when it comes to the edge, when it comes to the desire to want to beat each other. And that was on full display tonight for sure. But good Lord, there were so many Niner fans in that stadium. It made me sick. It absolutely made me sick. I just, on one hand, you can respect it because how much they come out when it comes to these kind of games, and they travel well, or they just decide to, show their fandom if they're transplants from the Bay Area or wherever they might be from California, doing work and living in Seattle. But it was discouraging, to say the least, to see so many Niner jerseys that were represented in that stadium tonight. With that said, again, that's not new. That seems pretty common when we have these games, but man, they played great ball tonight. The Seahawks last week against the Panthers, a game that we easily should have won. It should not have been even close, and not even should it have not been close. We should have won handedly, and we lost the game. The Seahawks were extremely one-dimensional with pretty much a zero run game, and Gino made some, ill-advised decisions, some ill-advised throws. He wasn't as calm and collected and decisive as he has proven to be over the previous games this season. But again, a few of the mistakes he did make weren't really all on his shoulders. There were some tips, there were some miscommunication things, there were some penalties that weren't called, and that really contributed to those interceptions. Regardless, it shouldn't have even been close. We should have won that game, and we lost it. So coming into tonight, there was a sense of redemption, hopeful redemption. There was a sense of, man, we learned from our mistakes, losing the last 3 or 4 games coming into this game. Man, we're gonna have to play a mistake-free game of football in order to even stand a chance. And honestly, that's really what proved to be the difference maker tonight. We played pretty solid football against a incredible football team in the 49ers, and not only incredible football team that just happened to be bringing it all together at just the right time in the last quarter of the season. And so we needed to play absolutely lights out, mistake free, smart football in order to have a chance. And first quarter we didn't do great, but we weren't terrible. The Seahawks definitely missed some opportunities, and our defense in general, although we have some bright spots and some young players, Tariq Woolen being one of those, that really stands out as something exciting for us as Seahawks fans in the near future, to get to watch develop even more than he's developed this rookie season. I mean, he's got to be one of the top rookies, defensive rookies this year, if not the top. I mean, Sauce Gardner and him are neck and neck in statistics from a defensive standpoint, from interceptions and passes defended, and they're just playing lights out. So he's exciting. It was some great hope for us in the secondary. Kobe Bryant is playing pretty well. Additionally to Tariq, Quandre Diggs is pretty solid. Jamal Adams is injured, but man, if he can come back and stay healthy, I think he still contributes and brings us up in the defensive space. Jordan Brooks has just been a tackling monster. And the staple, Cody Barton, has grown significantly this year, although he's also made mistakes at times that have proven pretty detrimental to contributing to our suspect running defensive statistics. The biggest thing that I can see is the massive gaping hole on the Seahawks team is our defensive line. Our run stop is pretty much non-existent. I mean, we're just getting mowed. We're getting absolutely mowed over in the run game. Every single team seems to have their season high rushing yards, explosive runs, yards after contact from the running back. I mean, it just seems like we cannot tackle a fourth string running back for our lives, to save our lives. So, it's kind of what we went into tonight. Pretty much knowing that was going to be our greatest weakness, and then hoping we can get our offensive game back on pace from where we were for the first half of the season. Because again, like last week against the Panthers, we were one-dimensional. We had no running game. Kenneth Walker was injured. Our secondary and third position running back between DJ Dallas and Travis Homer were getting hurt and unhealthy. And I mean, we had just I forget even the dude's name. Fourth string practice squad dude was running the ball, and he got hurt, but then he came back. I mean, we were decimated, and it showed. So this week, tonight, we had the opportunity to bring our running game back, but against one of the number one defenses, if not the number one defense in the NFL, the number one defense against the run, especially. And we really couldn't do it. I mean, Nick Bosa is an absolute freak. He's a generational player. He should definitely be the defensive player of the year. Micah Parsons and the Cowboys is having a great season, but Bosa he's just on another level. He is an absolute game disruptor. There's just watching it in person. You watch it obviously on TV when you watch the game, but watching it in person, it's just unbelievable how fast he is, how quick he is off the snap. It just feels like offensive linemen are constantly in a hole with him. Like they don't get to start. It's not even. It's just not an even matchup. It's not an even start. They literally have to react from like behind the 8 ball every single play against Bosa, and he just had his way with us. So much pressure on Geno. Our run game really didn't turn things on. It was great that we had Kenneth Walker healthy enough to play, but they just really couldn't get things turned on. Now, here was the good news, right? The good news was that through the first two quarters. With first quarter we didn't show out great, but second quarter we came back with some great stops, and it was a closer game. Come you know a few minutes, like I think it was like 3 minutes something left in the second quarter before halftime. The Niners had deferred to the second half, so they were getting the ball back in the third quarter. But we were I think we were down 14 to 6. No, we were down 14-3. So it's a two-score game. But we were driving, and then Travis Homer fumbled, and that fumble resulted in a 49ers fumble recovery that took it all the way to the 3-yard line, and they scored a touchdown with less than a minute left in the first half, second quarter. And so we go into halftime 21-3 when it very easily could have and should have been 14-6. We should have went down and at least kicked a field goal. It could have been 14-10. It was, it was so close. And to go into halftime and it be 21-3 when it should have been 14-6, it just was demoralizing. And then they were getting the ball back. So and then we just couldn't get it turned back out. The third and fourth quarter, we held them still. We held them. They didn't score any more points the rest of the game, and it's pretty good. That's a pretty good sign for how our defense ended up kind of showing up the second half of the game. Really, for 3 quarters, we just didn't really show up in the first quarter, and then that fumble recovery gave them that touchdown, walking touchdown. Really wasn't on the defense, obviously. But they were just rattling Geno all night. So Seattle Seahawks lose. They get swept by the San Francisco 49ers. They gave them the division title, the NFC West champs, and fall to 7-7 with, at this stage, pretty much slim to none chances to make the playoffs. I think they have to win out. They got to win 3 games in a row, and then there's got to be a team or two that loses in addition to that for us to even get a shot in the wild card. So, it's tough because you go into the season thinking like, all right, it's a tank season, right? Like, we traded Russ away. A lot of us Seahawk fans were divided on our feelings. Again, there was a camp that was like, thank God we should have done it years ago. Then there was a camp that was like, what the heck, Pete Carroll and John Snyder need to go. What are they thinking? Like, they just traded away our future. Like, they're the ones that should have went. We want Russ back. Get rid of Pete and John. And then a few games in, we're like, Geno's actually pretty good, and Russ is kind of not being good. And wow, we got some great picks for the trade. Plus, we didn't have to pay Russ, that 4-year extension in addition to finishing out his contract. So we got, first round pick and the first round pick next year and a couple other picks. And and then Geno's playing well. Wow. I'm fine with this. Actually, not bad. And then it was a reality of like, whoa, we're actually winning a couple games. Like, Geno's playing like MVP caliber football. He's like one of the top 3 quarterbacks statistically this year. Are we gonna be competitive? Like, can we actually hang in there? Could we see a potential playoff appearance? So the mentality is beginning to shift until like, just survive this year and get the best draft picks you can, and know that it's just going to be a rebuild year. To like, whoa, maybe there's some potential. We could be a little competitive and do more than what anybody thought, which it sounds like was the belief from the inside. Pete Carroll and John Snyder obviously, and the organization, the team, believed they could be competitive. You can tell they really did not think like a lot of the fans thought. They weren't. It wasn't a throwaway season. But at this stage, at 500, 7-7 with 3 games left, and it's a pretty tough schedule in front of them between. I think they got the Chiefs, the Jets, at least one other NFC West. I think it's the Rams or the Cardinals. Um, there's at least 2 or 3 of those are going to be tough games. The Jets are playing great defense, and their offense is starting to come together, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So it's going to be tough. I think the way we got to look at it is, we got an absolute highway robbery trade haul with Russ going to the Broncos, and that in and of itself, if we lost every single game this year, getting the trade value we got for Russell Wilson and not having to pay him the money that he would have gotten paid with us if he had stayed, and he did get paid by the Broncos, is the victory of the year. And the fact that we have won some games and showed some competitive edges and are seeing some some production out of the rookies we did draft. Charles Cross, our first round draft pick, offensive lineman, he's got a lot of growth still, but he's proven to be I think a pretty good pick. I think he'll be developed into I think top 10, top 15 offensive lineman in the league in the next 2 to 3 years. And then obviously Kenneth Walker, I think we all can see the potential and hit with him, and he's staying healthy enough through the series. He's pretty lights out. Tariq Woolen, though, is definitely the pick of the draft from the Seahawks standpoint. He'll be a top tier defensive back in the NFL, I think, for the next several years. I think he's the next generation, next wave of that, and we're getting to watch it this year. We're seeing it. So all of those things are huge wins. We have got to look at that in and of itself as just, massive wins. And the fact that we were able to accumulate those picks in that trade, in addition to, the draft we have upcoming this next year, and getting a first-round pick from the Broncos as well. That's looking like it could be the second or third pick in the draft, second or third pick overall, is just nuts. It's a victory. We're in survival mode. This is a futuristic kind of year to think forward. Like, we're going somewhere. We're building something. This is not the year to bring the high hopes up and believe we're able to do something. And so if there is that, it's all bonus. And I always will believe with the Seahawks, there's a chance. We've seen it too many times over in the last 10 to 12 years, that especially, I guess, Russell really, he gifted us with that special mojo. Multiple times we got to witness it. And the NFC Championship game against the Packers the year after we won the Super Bowl and went back to the Super Bowl and lost, pretty much the last play of the game, thanks to Russell, was evidence of what could happen, even though it looks like there's no way anything can happen. So Seahawks have that there. I'll always hold that in my heart. There's some chance, but this is a year we have got to be embraced as a reset, a reestablishing kind of year, a rebuilding kind of year. And if we go into it with that mentality, I think we're going to come out, whether we lose the next 3 games or we win the next 3 games, even if we make the playoffs. The realistic expectations of even making the playoffs, our defense is garbage for the most part on the run side of things. We cannot stop a runner, and if you can't stop a running game, you're not going to be able to win championship football. So we need to go out. We need to get the best defensive end that's available in the draft in that second or third pick. Not play games trying to go get a quarterback. Like, let's. I know Gino's a free agent, but let's look at giving him a 2-year contract and pay him decent money, maybe, and then go draft a 4th or 5th round guy and develop him up, or really wait for the next year's round of quarterbacks. Don't go get a first round quarterback. Go get a run stopper. Go get a generational defensive end that might be there at 2 or 3, and keep building this defense up so we can be ready to rock and roll for the next years to come. That's my opinion. But with all that, it was a good game. I think we could have actually won if we had not fumbled. That costly fumble that gave them that extra touchdown. I think we would have probably won 16-14. Honestly, I think we would have went down, and I think we could have. I think we could have pulled it out based on the way that the rest of the game went, but that's not how it played out. We lost, and the 49ers won, and they played great football. Brock Purdy played excellent football. He looked very composed, confident, and ready to rock and roll for his second full-time start. Um, I read some statistic like it was the first time since like the 1950s or something like that that a quarterback is he's like either one of two quarterbacks that has had a 115 or higher passing rating or quarterback rating in his first two starts. I mean, he's the real deal. I saw it with my own eyes. He's the real deal. In the same way, Bosa is the absolute real deal. Christian McCaffrey, real deal, man. Like, these guys are just ballers. I mean, it was a good thing Debo Samuel wasn't out there, because he would have blown a freaking George Kittle. I can't stand George Kittle. Stupid George Kittle. He's a baller. He somehow got open on those two big touchdown catches, but beyond getting open, he turned it into a touchdown because of his skill. I mean, he's just a touchdown machine. But Brock Purdy, my goodness, that first touchdown pass to George Kittle, the two looks before the third look to Kittle for the throw, and then ultimately the touchdown, were just majestic. I mean, they were legendary. It was seasoned veteran Tom Brady kind of ish, and I mean, it was like look, boom. It wasn't like a progression. It wasn't like, oh, he's not open. Oh, George Kittle's wide open in the middle for a touchdown. It was like, I'm just doing this purely because I'm trying to throw the defense off. Oh, one more place to throw the defense off, because I know exactly where I'm going. I'm going to George Kittle. I knew that from the moment that the ball was about to be snapped, and he executed it perfectly. So 49er fans, I think you got a lot to look forward to in your guys' situation. I mean, Trey Lance seems to have enough of the goods that if you didn't have a Brock Purdy in the back pocket, it looks like Trey Lance, when he gets healthy, could really actually be developed into something special. But if not, I mean Brock Purdy could be the truth. Brock Purdy could be the the Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. Tom Brady was he 5th or 7th round? I can't remember. He was way late. Obviously, Brock Purdy being Mr. Irrelevant as late as it gets, but he could be that story. I mean, he seems like he could be that story based on these two games and the way he came in and replaced Jimmy when he got hurt. So the Niners should be elated. And we were sitting right in front of some Niner fans during the game, and man, gave each other crap the whole game. But they were great guys, and it was just fun connecting with them as they were, giving us a hard time. We gave them a hard time, but they were just pumped. Niners fans, you should be. You have a lot to be pumped about. You got a defense that is lights out. You got offensive weapons that are generational. I mean, CMC, Debo Samuel, even Brandon Ayuk, and then George Kittle. I mean, you've got some lights out generational offensive talent, and then Bosa is a generational defensive player, and then Brock Purdy looks like, again, he could be the truth. He could be the real thing. You got a lot to be excited about. You guys very well could be, the hottest team of the last third of the season, in the perfect time to give the Cowboys, to give the Eagles. The Vikings, I think, are suspect, and I think they're frauds. You're going to give the NFC teams all a run for the money. And, if the Eagles and the Niners played the NFC Championship tomorrow, I have a hard time thinking the Niners don't walk away with the dub. If the Niners and the Bills, the Niners and the Bengals play tomorrow in the Super Bowl, I have a hard time feeling like the Niners don't walk away with the dub. I hate saying that. I'm literally, I hate this. I hate that I'm saying this, but it's the truth. It's the truth. I've spent 24 and a half minutes now of this live stream. Nobody is watching. I'm live streaming it private, unlisted. I might post it. Maybe I'll post it, afterwards, and 4 or 5 people might watch it because they may care about football, and they may care about spending 27 to 28 of their minutes of their life listening to my post-game commentary. But if you're a Niners fan, tip of the hat to you. Congratulations. Great game. I got to witness the greatness in person. I think we were close to giving you guys a little scare. I think we could have made it happen, but we didn't. And now you have the next 3 games to continue to refine the juice that you guys have got going, and continue to put all the ingredients together and get Brock Purdy more and more confident and familiar with the offense and who he is as a quarterback in the NFL, and keep hopefully getting guys healthy. I think you guys are gonna make a pretty solid run all the way to the bowl. So, you know, there's a piece of me that I can't stand the Niners. I cannot stand them. I can't stand and my best friend. Some of my best friends are 49er fans. I can't stand 49er fans, and I know they can't stand me. I know they can't stand Seahawks fans. I love that. I love that there's that rivalry. I love that we can't stand each other. So, like, I can't stand the thought of the 49ers going to the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl. And I love that they've gone over the last couple of years. In the last, 7 to 10 years, they've gone 2 times. I think it's been twice. Maybe they've, I don't remember, but they haven't won. Right, that's the point. The point is that they've gone and they've lost, and that's been beautiful. I've loved that. Like, go and lose, and again, you're forgotten. Nobody cares. You got to win for it to matter. And so they haven't won, and I'm thankful for that. If they win, and I'm going to have to hear about it for another 20 years, 25 years that they've won, and that doesn't sound, appealing at all. With that said, it's I like the thought of if the Seahawks are out, which, again, they're not absolutely 100% out at this point, but most likely they are, to be able to root for that NFC West team. I just can't. It's so hard. It's like I can't root for the Niners, but because I can't stand them. But, like, the NFC West, they're like my cousins. It's like they're like my enemies, but like my cousin. And so if there's going to be a team that can go represent in the Super Bowl, and there's something about them being from your division that you can kind of pull forward to a degree. The Rams winning last year was a little bit of that for me. I like the Rams better than the Niners in the sense of I like them winning and better than the Niners winning. Feels a lot better, but so there you go. There's my Seahawks Niners Thursday Night Football post-game show, post-game thoughts and commentary for y'all, and hopefully the Seahawks continue to figure out and establish our new identity and who we are going to be for the foreseeable future, whether that's with Geno for another season or 2 until we find our future quarterback, or moving on from Geno this next year and rolling with a younger guy, or bringing in some old veteran until we find the younger guy. I don't know. I like what I'm seeing. Thankful we are not paying Russell Wilson for 4 years of an additional contract to create 7 more years of him locked up with a lot of money, $200+ million of cap space that is not taken up for him. I love Russell Wilson. Look at me. Where's the camera? I love Russell Wilson. He's an incredible man, leader, quarterback. He helped bring the Seahawks their first championship in the history of the Seattle Seahawks organization. I think he is the real deal. I do think that there is some wake-up call kind of stuff happening for him and this team, the Denver Broncos. And so I do believe that they'll figure things out eventually. I think they'll turn some things around. I do think that Russell will pull himself and the team back into a place where they're out of this insane hole that they've found themselves in. And I think a lot of that has to do with coaching. But it's a big wake-up call. And I'm just really glad we're not experiencing that wake-up call in addition to signing him to a 4-year extension and having all that money tied up for the next 7 years. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good on the other side of the season. I think we have a lot to look forward to as Seahawks fans as well. So from the desk of Chase Merrill in Olympia, Lacey, Washington, after Seattle Seahawks and San Francisco 49ers Thursday night football game, I hope you have a great evening. I hope you have a great Friday. I hope you have a great weekend. Christmas is around the corner. I hope that your Christmas season is full of joy, joy that lasts and is actually real and not just fabricated with the ideas of Christmas, but the actual reason for Christmas being all really about Jesus and the fact that he's real. He came, he was born as a baby, lived a real life, died a real death, and resurrected to overcome that death to be the Savior of the world. That's what we're celebrating for Christmas season, me and my family and our church. And so there you go. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, and go Hawks forever and always. 49ers, you always suck.